Good morning, everybody. It's the morning of July 31st, and it's that time again. Another day, another direct. This time, a partner showcase, the first partner showcase of the Nintendo Switch 2 era. I know some people are disappointed that it is a partner showcase rather than a full-fledged Nintendo Direct, but I feel like some people forget that we have had some pretty cool partner showcases in the past. Not to mention that some of the big Switch 2 titles that we're waiting for information on are joint projects with other developers. You know, I don't know if that counts within the partner sphere, but, you know, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment is being worked on by Koei Tecmo. Kirby Air Riders is being worked on by Bandai Namco and Sakurai and his company, Sora. Even Metroid Prime 4 is being worked on by Retro Studios. So, if all these developers count as partners, then we could hear about one today. But even if it is just a batch of third parties, that could be cool too. You know, we could get some cool indies. You know, I'm sure Atlas has something to show. You know, Capcom, Sega, there's still so much opportunity for some really banger hits. You know, there's still so much opportunity for game reveals to be excited about. So I'm about to watch this blind. Who knows what's going to happen? Yeah, let's begin. What am I looking at here? Capcom. Is this Monster Hunter Stories? It is! It's Monster Hunter Stories! Wow, this looks great. They look less like chibi anime character and more like Fire Emblem now. Hey, Magnabello! Hey! Twisted Reflection! Oh, that's a cool opener. Oh, I love that. 2026. Okay. Okay. Oh, I'm excited. A good opener just puts you in the best sort of mood. Hey! Once Upon a Katamari. This is a new game? Ooh. That's soon. That's what I like to see. How many dedicated Just Dance people are out there in the world? I'm really curious. I had a feeling this would show up. A lot of people were hoping for this. That's so many characters. I'm sure a lot of them are Goku, but that's still a lot of characters. Maybe this is awesome. It certainly looks awesome. I think this got leaked. This is a remake of the first game, I think. Back in glorious HD. Oh, is it co-op now? Interesting, okay. I've never been much of a Plants vs. Zombie guy, but I could check that out. Uh-oh, wait, whoa. Yeah, I wasn't sure if they were really gonna do it. People were asking for it, but it didn't seem like the first game was a massive success or anything. Oh, this looks so good. This looks really good. A lot of co-op support in this partner showcase. That's even sooner. Oh, I will definitely give that a go. Whoa. Oh no, we knew about this already. This is Tactics, right? The Tactics remake? Yeah. Persona 3 on Switch? Very cool. I don't know anything about Persona, but it looks so good. Please take a look at what? That's Age of Imprisonment. See? This is what I mean. Never underestimate a partner showcase. Ooh. This is so cool. Going into more detail about Zelda in the past. Oh, who's that? I don't think we know that character. Release date, come on, release date. Okay, okay, so they're still saying this year, so that's great. We just don't know exactly, but I'll take this year. The realest Madden. Oh, is it RPG mechanics? How deep is Madden? Is it just a fireplace simulator? Just hanging out by the campfire with the camera mode? This is so strange. Whoa. What is this? Whoa. We got a horror game and serious Dead Space vibes. Riffs. Whoa! Time travel? Wow. And it's soon. Cool. They're slowly bringing all the Yakuzas onto the system. That's great. One day, I'm gonna play my first Yakuza, probably 0, and it's going to change my life. But for now, I can only look on in interest. Very cool. And it's this year. 2 more games to show me. Oh. Whoa. Whoa. What's this? Whoa, don't tell me I'm looking at Octopath 3. Oh no, it's new. HD 2D action RPG. Don't call it that this time. Is it real-time combat? I'm noticing that's a big contrast to previous games like this. There's a title. Next year. Okay. Oh, we got something else from Square. Now what are we looking at? Did that say 0? So they do have an Octopath cooking. Although they have a game that looks like Octopath, but isn't. And it's like, no, it's not Octopath. And then they're like, and here's Octopath. Octopath Traveler 0. And it's this year. And that's all for the presentation. Wow. I think all in all, that was pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with what I just saw. You know, I'm gonna collect my thoughts, you know, think about each release individually. I'll be back momentarily to talk about it some more. All right, it's about an hour later. I've had time to digest everything that the partner showcase had to offer. I think I'm ready to transition from reaction mode to discussion mode and talk about everything that we saw today. All in all, I think the thing that really stuck out to me in this presentation was release dates. We are in an age where a release date is a blessing and not a guarantee. And even if we do get release dates, they are very, very far out. But today, though, was very pleasing in the release date department. I could think of maybe 2 games that were shown today that said 2026. Everything else was this year. And there's only a couple of months left to this year. So all of these games are gonna be releasing very shortly after one another. And I think that's great. You know, the big question that everybody has right now about the Switch 2 is what's coming out? You know, what can we expect soon? You know, we're now living in a post-Bonanza world. What's next? And I think that what was shown today was pretty satisfying. You know, yeah, I wish this was a full Nintendo Direct as well. I want to hear about Kirby Air Riders. I want to hear about Metroid. We all do. But for a partner showcase, this was pretty good. Going over all of the reveals one by one, we opened on Monster Hunter Stories 3, which I think is a pretty strong way to open. And also, Monster Hunter Stories has never looked better in my eyes. You know, this is a sister series to Monster Hunter. They're much more JRPG style than what Monster Hunter, you know, is. First of all, it's great that this, you know, side series is still going on. Like, I'm always happy to see a healthy, you know, fully living franchise. And we just got Monster Hunter Wilds. That wasn't all that long ago. So knowing that these are releasing, you know, pretty close together to one another is cool. I wonder if we're actually going to be seeing Monster Hunter Wilds monsters in Stories 3. That'll be cool. But the art style is really fascinating. I don't know if it's the art style so much as maybe it is the tone. You know, I played Monster Hunter Stories 1. I did not play the second game, but the first game was very much like, not Saturday morning cartoon style anime, but like the characters were kids. You know, you were like raising your monsties out of eggs. Like it had a more whimsical tone, I guess I could say. This though feels so much more grounded and serious. Like I really got Fire Emblem vibes from what we saw here. And like, I think presenting itself as that will make stories much more digestible and appealing to maybe people who saw the game with kids in their monsties and didn't take it seriously enough. So yeah, Twisted Reflection. I'm really looking forward to it. This was one of the games that said 2026. I think that's okay. You know, this seems like a really big game, so, you know, I suppose that's fine. You know, I'll always cross my fingers and hope that it's, you know, early 2026. I do find it, you know, funny and appropriate that they made a point today to differentiate Switch releases from Switch 2 releases or games that are releasing on both. You know, that's going to be important going forward. It might not be immediately clear with every game that releases as to what it's releasing on. So, you know, that's an important distinction to make. Once Upon a Katamari was a surprise. I am not too well versed in the Katamari universe at all. So I didn't realize until I looked at people's responses on Twitter today just how long it's been since the last properly new Katamari game. Like, we have been seeing remasters and ports for a really long time now. Like, the last couple of Katamaris that have come out for Switch have both been remasters. So seeing that this is a brand new game in the series is really, really cool. A very welcome surprise. And despite the fact that it's a new game, it definitely doesn't seem to have lost the touch at all. Like, this looks very true to a Katamari game, to the point that, like, if I wasn't told it outright, I would have thought that maybe this was also a remaster to one of the many Katamari games of the past. Like, that's how faithful it looks. And this comes out late October, so, like, great, you know, and a first, you know, a big example of a game that is coming soon. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is, you know, already out on other platforms, so seeing a Switch 2 release does not surprise me. I think a lot of people were expecting to see this today. I have not played this, but I'm getting mixed feelings from people's, you know, responses to it online. You know, a lot of people were really hyped about this release, but I think when it came out, people were, you know, disappointed in ways, or like maybe they were just wanting better forms of support. You know, I'm not too educated on where the shaky ground lies on this game. I might have to try it for myself. I'm not much of a fighting gamer, but like, it looks more like the Dragon Ball fighting that like I, you know, am more comfortable with, the ones where you're like flying around and like shooting beams at each other, more than like your Fighter Z, like traditional 2D fighter style game. And like, I do love Dragon Ball, so like maybe I will give it a shot. But like, yeah, let me know what you think about Sparking Zero. Okay, speaking of franchises that I don't know too much about the like overarching lore, Plants vs. Zombies was here today. Now, I couldn't tell you how many Plants vs. Zombie games there are. I know, like, you know, this is like the original styled, like, Flash, like, looking, you know, Plants vs. Zombies that like sweeped the nation. You know, then you got like Garden Warfare with like your multiplayer team shooter style game. Like, that seems like its own beast. This is, if I'm understanding it correctly, a full-fledged like HD remaster, I suppose, of the original Plants vs. Zombies. I do think that this was leaked. I did see some people speaking about this game and revealing footage and data about it, you know, before today. I don't know how people are gonna take this. Maybe this is a very welcome return to form. But I don't know, in this age of, you know, mobile games and just how much gaming landscape has advanced since the original Plants vs. Zombies, like will this still survive? It doesn't look different at all to me on a glance. You know, I can't, you know, tell just from looking at this, like what new additions or, you know, what is like the brand new coat of paint that's being shown off here, aside from like, I guess, widescreen, you know, HD visuals. And I mean, if that's all people are asking for, then great, you know, here you go. Maybe I'll check out Plants vs. Zombies, but I don't know, maybe it's a you had to be there sort of experience. Okay, Pac-Man World 2 Repack. I really didn't think they would do this. The first game's remake, you know, Pac-Man World Repack, came out a couple of years ago now. Like, it's been a hot minute. And like, it released, there were definitely fans of it. Like, people speak highly of this remake, but like, I feel like conversation really died down, and like, there really wasn't too much clamoring for the second game, except for like, you know, that dedicated small base of fans. And Pac-Man World 2 seems like a huge jump from Pac-Man World 1. I've never played any of the originals. I didn't even play the remake of the first game. But like just from a observer's point of view, I wasn't sure that they wanted to put resources into this. You know, Shadow Labyrinth just came out as like a much more mature, edgy, twisted version of Pac-Man. So like with that just releasing not that long ago, I didn't think that, you know, this was the time to release Pac-Man World 2. But you know what? Boy, does it look great. You know, this looks even more up my speed than the first game did, and it's even coming very soon, September 26th. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and play the first repack because these look really, really good. And I do know there's also a third game, so we could see that in the future now. Final Fantasy Tactics remake, we saw this one before in a previous direct. I know some people were conflicted on the look. You know, I know that Tactics has a very committed and beloved community that surrounds it. You know, I've never played Tactics, but I can totally understand wanting, you know, a remake of your favorite game to reach for higher. So I'm really interested what the general response will be when this comes out. This is also a September release. You know, I'll be keeping my eye on it. I've always wanted to try out Tactics. It's very different than your typical, you know, Final Fantasy experience. It's a tactical, you know, RPG rather than like your typical RPG. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how that release goes. We also got to see the remake of Persona 3 right after that. This is another one that a lot of people were predicting they'd see today. The only Persona that I have ever played was Persona 1, so I've never experienced a new age Persona. I know that there is a divide in that a lot of these, you know, older Persona games, like this is like really the big one right now with Persona 3, have basically been put into a Persona 5 transformation machine. Like they've basically taken 3 and made it as close to 5 as possible. Some people are conflicted about that, and even though I don't know the nuances about the conversation, like I can understand that on a surface level. You know, you're not looking to play Persona 5, you want to play Persona 3, and what makes Persona 3 a unique individual? You know, it makes me wonder now, like if I'm going to experience this game for the first time, should I play Reload or should I play the original? And that's something that I'm gonna be getting different opinions on from all angles. So I don't know, one day I will dive deeply into Persona, but you know, it's great to see Reload coming to Switch too. Okay, now, the middle of the direct, we got more information on Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. I am so glad that we saw this. This is a game that was revealed in the original Switch 2 like launch presentation, but we have not heard anything about it since. And the closer we got to the end of 2025, the more people were like, where is this game? Like, is it even coming out this year anymore? What's happening? But we got to see more about it today, which is great. It was pretty much all cinematics, which is a shame. I would have loved to have gone more into like the gameplay and, you know, what's new in this particular Hyrule Warriors package. I love that it takes place in this part of the timeline where Zelda's like trapped in the past. You know, I'm very excited to see what that brings. We did see a new character that we've never seen before, a Gerudo. But most importantly, I was dying for a release date on this one. And while we didn't get an exact date, we did get them saying this winter, which means they are still planning on this releasing this year. You know, even if it is at the end of this year, December ain't that far away. So I'm glad that out of all of the like large Switch 2, you know, games that we knew about, like, you know, Metroid and Kirby Air Riders, this is one of them too. I'm glad we got to hear about at least one of them. I'm sure it's going to be great too. I played Age of Calamity. I really enjoyed myself with it, and I'm sure that this is going to be a very similar package. Can we talk about chilling by the fire for a second? It's a game where you just sit here and maintain a fire, you know, throw wood into it, you know, keep it from going out. And it seems like that's all of its ambition. It's so funny too. It connects to Switch Online and the Switch 2 camera. Like they have a shot of people like just playing it, their faces over the campfire. I guess this is just a hangout game. Like the game itself is less important, and it's just sort of like a hub where all your Switch 2 online friends could just like vibe and chill by the fire. And I think that is this game's vision. On the side here, they have like convo topics. Like I think this entire software just exists to encourage socialization and interaction, and okay, you know, that's pretty harmless. I hope it's like $5 because like if this is anything more than like $10, I think this entire experiment won't work. But you know, that's pretty wholesome, so I can't knock it too much. The mouse game looks really fun. Hella, I think it was called. It looks really realistic. Like every blade of grass is there in full view. You know, it's a very detailed looking game, and unfortunately in this trailer the frames per second definitely took a bit of a hit, but it does look fun. And I even love that it's 4-player multiplayer. That makes this even more enticing. I've been really playing a lot of games with friends this year, so maybe this is something that we can all experience together. That could be really fun. I should also mention that throughout this presentation we saw a number of, you know, larger releases for other platforms making their way to Switch 2, you know, Star Wars Outlaws, Apex Legends, Borderlands 4, and a number of sports games. The presentation did not go into detail about whether or not these are going to be game key cards or not. The topic of game key cards kind of overcasts this heavy shadow over a lot of these releases. Like if they are not a key card, I think a lot of people will be willing to support it just for the sake of it being an entirely physical card. Meanwhile, if it is a key card, people will avoid it just for the sake of it is a key card. You know, this is a complicated matter, and we're not going to know the full, you know, ramifications of this until all of the games that we saw today are revealed to be either physical or key card. We will see. You know, obviously I'm hoping for, you know, more non-key cards, but you know, hey, all I could say is that I'll just keep my eye on the situation and hope for the best. Ooh, I almost forgot about this reveal. Chronos, the New Dawn. This is a horror game, a very Dead Space looking horror game that looks really cool. Oh, and it's Bloober Team. I just noticed that. I didn't realize it when the presentation was playing, but no, this is a Bloober Team release. Okay, they've really been proving themselves in the survival horror, you know, space. So yeah, I'm really interested in this. September 5th, that's like the closest game so far. Literally like a month away. Yeah, that's gonna be really sick. Okay, Yakuza was next. Just like Persona, just like Plants vs. Zombies, just like Katamari, I'm aware of this series. I know it's successful. I know it's got its fans. I've never played one. I know that Yakuza 0 was among the launch titles of the Switch 2. And this trailer was for Yakuza Kiwami 2, which is interesting because I was not aware that Kiwami 1 was not on the Switch 2 yet. Like, just the fact that they were talking about 2 made me think, oh, well, I guess the first one must have been revealed for Switch 2 and I just missed it. But like, they spend the whole time talking about 2 and then go at the very end, oh, by the way, 1 is coming out too. Very strange way of going about that. I wonder if that means that the second game has like Switch 2 upgrades and maybe the first game doesn't. No, I just rewatched the Yakuza part of, the presentation, and it does say that Kiwami 1 has the same upgraded graphics as, the second one. So, I don't know. This is just a strange way of revealing this. One day I will play Yakuza and be a changed man. The people I know who have played it, like, it's an eye-opening experience for sure. Then finally, the end of the direct presentation, they said that they had 2 games to show us. We opened on an HD 2D, RPG by Square Enix, so immediate thoughts are this is something Octopath related, but no, this is its own thing. The Adventures of Elliot, a real-time combat action RPG, which is very unique. We haven't seen that yet. Octopath Traveler is a turn-based RPG. All the other HD 2D stuff that I can think of, Dragon Quest remakes, they are, turn-based. Triangle Strategy is a tactical game, so it's a little different. Live Alive, turn-based. So like this is a unique spin. You know, throughout the trailer, I was like, all right, what makes this not Octopath? Like, what is the like twist? But yeah, that combat is very interesting. So I will be keeping my eye out on this. This said 2026, I believe, right? It did say available 2026. This was like the other game that they were like, you know, 2026 release date, but the demo for this is available like right now, apparently, like after this presentation. So that's interesting. So then they transition to the second game reveal, and surprise, this time it actually is Octopath Traveler. Not 3, but Octopath Traveler 0. Interesting. I wonder what that's about. Both of the final reveals for this presentation were HD 2D RPGs from Square Enix. I love the HD 2D art style. I do think we are starting to run the risk of HD 2D fatigue. You know, I'm seeing people online talking about how they didn't even realize the presentation had transitioned from one game to another game because they looked that similar. And I understand that critique, because I thought at first it was also Octopath. These games are magnificent, and like that, you know, is the best counter argument I can think of. These games are wonderful. The problem here is not the fault of any one of these individual games, but I think the novelty of the style is starting to wear off. Maybe there are just too many of them, and they're all coming from Square Enix. You got the Dragon Quest games, you got the Octopath games, you got ones like Triangle Strategy and Elliot now. It's great that we've been getting that many games from them, but starting to notice that the positive reception is not nearly as strong as it used to be. So yeah, definitely a mixed feeling way of ending the presentation, which is always a shame. You know, people put so much value into that one more thing. Getting 2 more things is even more exciting. So, you know, this might have run people the wrong way, and that's unfortunate. That said, overall, I do think that for me, personally, there were a lot of games here to get excited about. I'm excited for Stories 3. I'm excited for Pac-Man, Katamari, Hyrule Warriors, Chronos, and yeah, even Elliot and Octopath. Like, I am interested in playing all of these games. There are other titles that I wish we got to see. Like, I'm just realizing that we didn't get to see Duskbloods at all, or the Elden Ring, you know, Switch 2 edition. And so like that's kind of a shame. I think if you put one of those into this, people would be looking at this entire presentation more fondly. But yeah, I have more to look forward to now than I did when I woke up this morning, and that's enough to satisfy me. But let me know what you think. What games are you most excited about? What do you wish that we saw that we didn't get to see? And let's all keep our fingers crossed that a proper full Nintendo Direct will be coming soon. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.